Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to the show. I wanted to come on tonight and talk about the heavyweight fight that happened on Saturday night between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Now, before I get into the fight, let's talk about each fighter. Tyson Fury, the recognized WBC heavyweight champion, with a record of 34-0 with one draw and 24 knockouts, was taking on Francis Ngannou, who was making his boxing pro debut. But Francis Ngannou has 17 fights and 17 wins and 3 losses with about 12 knockouts in MMA. So he did have some fighting experience. Tyson Fury has been inactive since December of 2022 when he beat Derek Chisora, and before that, Dylan White. He hasn't fought since then. Francis Ngannou hasn't fought since January of 2022. So they're about the same when it came to activity level, in that sense, right? So coming into this fight, Tyson was the favorite. No one that I spoke to or that I watched really gave Ngannou a chance to come and dethrone the heavyweight champion, even though it was not a title fight. The fight happens. The atmosphere is great. Ngannou is confident. So is Tyson Fury. It's not what everybody expected, but was it a robbery? Was this fight a robbery? Let's think about that. Robbery is a subjective word. First of all, let's talk about the fans, right? The fans that we have. We have the boxing fans that are going to say that Fury is going to win. Now, a boxing fan would rarely go against a boxer when it came to a crossover fight and an MMA. And I said rarely. You have the MMA fans, they're hardcore fans, of course. They're going to go for the MMA fighter, even though they sometimes don't even believe that the MMA fighter can actually beat a boxer, at least in a boxing squared circle and in the boxing rules. Of course, if it was in the octagon, we know what would happen. Then there are those casuals who just want to watch a fight. They might know or have seen, they might not. They might be influenced by someone who tells them something, or something they see or they read. So we have that schematics of fans when it comes to these type of fights. So we have the hardcore on either side, and then you have the casual and the not really a fan of anything except a good fight. And who doesn't love a good fight? And speaking of a good fight, let's talk about what went on Saturday night. In the first round, Tyson came out and try to make a statement immediately with a right hand. In my opinion, between rounds 1 and 3, he tried to do too much to get Ngannou out of there early. He also must have believed that Ngannou could not have done anything with him in the boxing ring. It turned out that many people were surprised, right? Because Ngannou, number one, the first thing we have to realize is that his footwork was in par with what we needed for him to be able to maneuver himself in a heavyweight fight the way he did. His footwork was what was noticeable first and foremost. His footwork is what allowed him to punch the way he did and rotate on the punches the way that he did, but also close in the distance the way that he did. Tyson Fury being overzealous to try to get Francis Ngannou out of there got caught in the third round and he got dropped. Everyone was surprised. Not many, because I did a poll on my YouTube channel and 17% of people believed that Francis Ngannou was going to win the fight against Tyson Fury. So the third round happens, the knockdown happens. It's a beautiful counterpunch inside. Before that, Tyson had thrown a hard 1-2, boom. He was going to repeat that process, and Ngannou caught him in between the jab and him throwing the right hand. He dipped over to the inside and threw the hook as the right hand was coming, which made the hook land over the right hand. Tyson Fury didn't look as if he was that hurt, more so like a flash and a shock knockdown. He was up right away. He was shocked. He was surprised, as was everyone in the arena, everyone watching at home, everyone listening. However, they got the information that Tyson Fury was dropped. They were surprised. I was surprised. The guys that I was talking to were surprised. So everyone was surprised. Now, what happens thereafter? The fight gets lackadaisical. There was some low moments. Nothing really happened. After the knockdown, there was a lot of clinching, a lot of holding. There was some moments for each of the fighters. If and when you watched it, especially when it got in close. But when you look at the numbers tell you that there was a lot of inactivity within 9 of the 10 rounds. The first round, there was some high input, and somewhere like, I believe it was the 8th round, where Francis Ngannou had his best round, either the 8th or the 10th, somewhere around there. Those were when the inputs were above the single digit numbers. Outside of that, every other round, it was single digit landed punches for each fighter. There was a lot of clinching that was being initiated by Tyson Fury, which I didn't understand, because he was throwing a combination from a distance and then taking the chance by lunging in to get into the clinch. Tyson Fury snuck an elbow in there, and it was, to me, it looked intentional. It did not look like a right hand that missed and that Ngannou stepped into in order to get hit with the elbow. But I don't know. Give me your thoughts. What are your thoughts in the comments? Let me know what your thoughts were regarding that elbow. I thought that at that point there was some frustration with Tyson Fury. He wasn't able to get Ngannou out of there early like he thought that he would. So he kind of got frustrated. Not kind of, he got frustrated. And he started to do things that were not kosher, right? He started to hold when he shouldn't have, and he had the distance and that elbow. Now let's talk about the scorecards. The scorecards were 94-95 for Ngannou, 95-94 for Tyson Fury, and 96-93 also for Tyson Fury. Now, people questioning, it was a close fight, it was a robbery, it could have gone either way, but they're looking at the 96-93 judges scorecard. And let's think about this for a second. 96, 93 on one of the judges' scorecards. And that's kind of where they're focusing on, because the other two scorecards were kind of, not kind of, they were the same, right? 95, 94, one for each fighter. Now, think about this for a second. If the judge who had 96, 93, if he had given Ngannou one more round, then he also would have had it 95, 94. Still for the winner, which would have been Tyson Fury. Even with the knockdown, what if he would have gave him 2 extra rounds? Then it would have been a split decision draw, and it still would have been robbery question. I don't know. Was it a robbery? I don't think so. It was a close fight. I had the fight 6 rounds to 4. I had the round 6 rounds to 4 for Tyson Fury. But again, it's subjective. It depends on what you look for in a fight. And of course, favoritism plays a part, right? So if you can't be subjective and you're watching a fight and there is some favoritism coming from you and from your heart and from your mind, it's kind of hard to really be fair across the board and judge a fight, because every little thing that your fighter does, you're going to see bigger than sometimes it really is. It happens a lot of times. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Let me know in the comments if you are watching. If you are, we appreciate you. We thank you. And we hope you come back again. We're gonna be doing this on a regular. We're gonna be getting comfortable in front of the camera. We're going to be taking calls. We're going to be having people come on. Hopefully, people have questions. I have a lot of history in this, and we're going to be talking about the history and where I've been before this, and all the people that I've been able to and have the honor to have interviewed when I was out on the field and covering fights. We have this new podcast happening. Tell us about that. We're the ultimate podcast for all boxing fans. Tune in. We're going to take you on thrilling rides. We're going to have different interviews, different people. So now where does Tyson Fury go from here? There are rumors that he pulled out of a fight on December with Usyk, and they're going to sue him because he pulled out. But people are not really talking about that. People are talking about now, where does Ngannou go? Where does Francis Ngannou go from here? A guy who just the other day, no one, hardly anyone gave a chance to, is now the talk of combat sports. Where does he go from here? People are saying he should just leave everything else and come into boxing and make his money and make his stake here. What do you think? Do you think that he has a chance to continue being successful in boxing, looking at the names and the state of the heavyweight division? But you also got to remember, he does have a contract with PFL. Now, people say, yes, he should go out there, he should buy out his contract, or he should negotiate his buyout. You think somebody's going to release like the baddest man on the planet, someone who transitioned from MMA to boxing and did what he did, to be let go? They're not going to just, not at this moment, not at this time, maybe at a later time. And maybe if the price was right, but that has to be, to me, that has to be an astronomical number. That has to be a high number to me, because Francis right now is on top of the world, right? Everyone, though he didn't get the decision, he won the people. So, and the majority of the people are just looking to see what next for him. People are saying, bring on Wilder, right? Let's put Francis Ngannou and Wilder. And then matchroom is saying, let us put AJ in with Ngannou, and let us show you how we can stop him within 3 rounds or so. So Ngannou does have lucrative fights and offers here in boxing, but we're going to have to see how the relationship with PFL and the promotion with PFL factors in to him being able to secure those fights. Usyk was in the building, and 64% of you who took my poll believe that Tyson Fury was going to defeat Usyk when they did fight, and if they did fight in December. But now a lot of you have changed your opinion about that based off a fight that we saw Saturday night and the performance of Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury came in at a big 277, the heaviest that he's ever been in his career. Francis Ngannou came in at a muscular 272 pounds. That's around average for him, give or take a few pounds north or south. Tyson Fury with the love handles, but he still was agile on his feet, was still able to use his distance to some moments. I believe that in the later rounds, he was able to secure the win and, keep the distance and score those points. There was there was a lot of times when the fight had its low moments and nothing was happening. But back to the original question is, was this fight a robbery? Not when you look at everything that transpired, when you look at the judges and the judges, by the way, the judge who had it 96, 93, I don't think that he was active. He was active in 2022, but in 2023, he was not that active. The other two judges who had it 95, 94, and 94, 95, respectively, those two judges, when I looked them up, they were active throughout the year of 2023. You can see that mostly every month, sometimes twice a month, they were going and they were on record with judging certain fights. So Tyson's 34-0 now, 24 knockouts, but people are going to see this and now they're going to judge his whole career. People had already said that Tyson Fury was like one of the greatest, if not the greatest in the present moment. A lot of people are eating crow. A lot of people are changing their mind on that based off this one performance. This gives me recollection of Evander Holyfield. There was a point in Holyfield's career, I believe, is when he fought Bobby Ches. Holyfield looked like he was finished. Holyfield looked like he was done. There were talks of Holyfield having heart problems and Holyfield having shoulder problems, and Holyfield should retire. And Holyfield was his license was revoked here in New York State at one point or another. And then people call for his retirement. Mike Tyson happens. He comes, he fights Mike Tyson, and he looks alive and he looks well, and then he fights more fights thereafter. And this is what I see. Tyson has one bad performance, and people are calling for his retirement. People are calling for his head because he embarrassed boxing. I don't think he embarrassed boxing. I mean, that's the beauty of boxing, right? Something like that, that someone can come in and show you that it's a fight, right? Boxing, naturally, it's a fight, right? And there are a couple of principles and there are a couple of things involved in a fight, and conditioning is one of them, and experience is one of them, and mindset is one of them, and ring generalship is another thing. So all these things come into play, right? And sometimes people and fighters lose focus on one of the details needed to have a complete fight. And so when they lose focus, things like what happened in the third round happen, right? So I want to know what your thoughts are. If you're watching, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you're watching, we appreciate you tuning in. Throw in your comments, and if not, and you're just watching me, and you're enjoying that, I appreciate your support. I thank you all the time. So appreciate it. That's my input about the fight. I don't think that the fight was a robbery. I think that the fight was at some times exciting because the fans of either fighter were just excited that that fighter was actually being active, but the numbers were low. The action at some points were low outside of the third round knockdown, and Francis had a good eighth round around there, but Tyson Fury finished the fight strong. Tyson Fury 9-10 with Tyson Fury's rounds, right? Depending on who you asked and who was watching it and what they like in a fighter and in a style, right? But if you went by the criteria, um, but that's still the same, right? So Tyson Fury finished. Now the MMA fans, they're happy because again, Francis Ngannou, he won the fans. He many believe that he won the fight, right? So of course they're happy. The MMA fans are happy. Dana White is probably not as happy because he let go that which is now the face of combat sport outside of, the pound for pounds and the face of boxing, and that competition is happening in boxing right now. In Ngannou being a heavyweight, doing what he did Saturday night, he's the face of combat sports. Now people are excited. Now, hopefully, in the future, people will give others an opportunity, not only an opportunity, but know that any man with 2 hands and 2 feet that gets in the ring and gives it a go, right? Because then you got some that go in there and they don't really do nothing. Reminiscence of Jamel Charlo in there with uh, Canelo Alvarez. But some fighters, listen, if you go in there, you have to give respect to the guy who steps up in the ring, right? Because at any moment, he can do something to change his life, to change the fight around if he goes for it. There are some fighters that they go into the ring and they coast. They don't really go out on the shield. They don't really do as much as they can. So we don't get as much as we can from those fights. But hopefully, you enjoyed my quick rant about the Saturday night heavyweight fight. We look forward to having more streams. If you're tuned in, we appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for that. Hope to see you again soon. And I guess that's a wrap. See ya.